The Betrayal captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the diplomatic vessel Harmony, watching the stars stretch past the viewport. She had been traveling through space for 3 days now, heading toward the Outer Rim territories where the Galactic Council wanted to discuss new mining rights. Elena felt proud to represent humanity in these talks. After 50 years as junior members of the Council, humans were finally being trusted with important business. The Harmony was not a warship. It carried no weapons, only diplomatic equipment and a small crew of 12. Elena had brought her best people for this mission. Dr. Marcus Chen, the ship's xenobiologist, had spent 20 years studying alien species. Commander Sarah Okafor handled security and tactics, though there should be no need for either on a peaceful mission. The rest of the crew were diplomats, translators, and support staff. Elena walked to the communication station, where Lieutenant Torres was monitoring the subspace channels. The young officer looked nervous, his fingers dancing across the controls as he listened to various alien frequencies. "Any word from the Council fleet?" Elena asked. "Not yet, Captain, but I'm picking up a lot of chatter on the encrypted channels. More than usual." Torres frowned at his screen. "It's mostly in Vorthak crystal speech and Meridian deep water language. Very hard to translate," Elena nodded. "The Council used many languages, and humans were still learning most of them. Keep monitoring. Let me know if anything seems important." Dr. Chen approached from his science station. He was a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes that had seen many worlds. "Captain, I've been reviewing the files on the mining colonies we're supposed to visit. Something doesn't add up." "What do you mean?" "The Outer Rim colonies are mostly automated." "They don't need much oversight. Why would the Council want to meet there instead of on one of their core worlds? It's very unusual." Before Elena could answer, Torres called out urgently, "Captain, I'm getting something strange here. There's a data burst coming through on one of the old human emergency frequencies. It's encoded with yesterday's diplomatic cipher." Elena hurried to the communication station, put it through the translator. The message that appeared on the screen made Elena's blood run cold. It was from Ambassador Williams, the human representative on the Council homeworld. The message was short and desperate. "Council has voted. Human threat level upgraded to maximum. Culling operations approved. They know about our colonies. They know about Earth. Get out now. Tell everyone to run. This is not a drill. They mean to kill us all." Elena stared at the message, reading it again and again. Her hands began to shake. "Torres, when was this sent?" 6 hours ago, Captain. It's been bouncing through relay stations to reach us." Commander Okafor had joined them, reading over Elena's shoulder. Her dark face was grim. "Captain, if this is real, we're flying into a trap. Dr. Chen, you know these species better than anyone. Could they really do this?" Elena's voice was steady, but inside she felt sick. Chen's face had gone pale. "The Council has always been afraid of us, Elena. We reproduce too fast. We adapt too quickly. We ask too many questions. I've seen the debates in their scientific journals. Some of them think we're dangerous." Elena made her decision quickly. "Torres, try to contact the nearest human colony. Use the emergency frequencies." Torres worked for several minutes, his face growing more worried. "Captain, I can't reach anyone. All the human colonies have gone dark, and I'm detecting Council warships moving toward human space." The bridge fell silent. Elena felt the weight of understanding crash down on her. 50 years of friendship, 50 years of working together, building trust, sharing knowledge. It had all been a lie. Or maybe it had been real once, but fear had won in the end. "How many ships?" she asked quietly. Commander Okafor had pulled up the tactical display. "I count at least 40 Council vessels moving toward human territories. That's more than enough to blockade every human world." "What about Earth?" 3 full battle fleets are heading for the home system." Elena closed her eyes for a moment. Earth had some defenses, but nothing that could stop 3 Council fleets. The Council had weapons that could crack planets if they wanted to use them. Humanity had been so proud to join the galactic community, so eager to prove they belonged among the stars. They had shared their technology, their culture, their hopes and dreams, and now they were being repaid with genocide. "Captain," Dr. Chen said softly, "there might be a way to warn people. The Council uses faster-than-light communication networks. If we could tap into those networks—" "Do it," Elena ordered. "Commander Okafor, plot a course away from the Outer Rim. Maximum speed." "Where are we going, Captain?" Elena looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, human families were going about their daily lives, not knowing that death fleets were coming for them. Children were playing. Scientists were working on new discoveries. Farmers were tending their crops under alien suns. All of them trusted that the Council would protect them. "We're going to survive," she said, "and we're going to make sure humanity survives too." The Harmony changed course, its engines pushing the small ship to maximum speed. Behind them, the trap they had almost flown into waited empty. Ahead lay the unknown galaxy, suddenly hostile and dangerous. Torres managed to tap into a Council communication relay. "Captain, I've got access to their networks. What should I send?" Elena thought carefully. The Council expected humans to beg, to cry, to ask for mercy. They expected fear and desperation. But humans were more than that. They had survived ice ages and plagues and wars. They had climbed from caves to the stars. They would not go quietly into the dark. "Send this message on all frequencies," she said. "To all Council members, to every species that can hear us. Tell them you have betrayed us, but we understand. You are afraid of what you do not understand. We tried to be your friends, but you have chosen to be our enemies. Very well. We will give you something to truly fear. This is Elena Vasquez, captain of the human vessel Harmony. We are still alive. We are still free. And we remember everything you taught us about your weaknesses. Run." Torres sent the message into the void. Within hours, it would reach every corner of Council space. The 12 species of the Galactic Council would know that at least one human ship had escaped their trap. Elena looked around her bridge at the faces of her crew. They were scared, but they were also angry. Good. Fear would keep them alive. Anger would give them strength. "Dr. Chen, I want everything you know about Council species. Every weakness, every fear, every secret you've learned in 20 years of study." "Captain, you're talking about war." "No," Elena said quietly. "They started the war when they decided to kill us all. I'm talking about survival. And humans are very, very good at surviving." The Harmony flew on through the night between stars, carrying its precious cargo of human knowledge and human determination into the dark galaxy that had suddenly become humanity's enemy. The warning 3 days had passed since the Harmony escaped the Council trap. Elena stood in the ship's small briefing room, looking at the data Dr. Chen had compiled. The walls were covered with charts showing Council species, their weaknesses, their military formations, and their communication networks. It looked like the planning room of a war that hadn't started yet. "Tell me about the Vorthak," Elena said. Dr. Chen pulled up a holographic image of the crystalline beings. They looked like living diamonds, beautiful and elegant. Silicon-based lifeforms. They communicate through harmonic vibrations in their crystal matrices. Very intelligent, very proud. They consider themselves the most advanced species in the Council. Weaknesses? Their crystal structure can be shattered by specific sound frequencies. They're also completely dependent on their homeworld's unique mineral environment. Away from Vorthak Prime, they need special atmospheric processors to survive. Commander Okafor made notes on her data pad. What about their military? Standard Council doctrine. Energy shields, plasma weapons, nothing too exotic. But Elena, you have to understand, the Council has never fought a real war. The last major conflict was 800 years ago, and it ended when one side simply gave up. They don't understand human concepts like total war or fighting to the death. Elena moved to the next display. The Meridians? Aquatic species from the ocean world of Meridia. They're excellent diplomats and traders, very logical, very careful in their thinking. Chen highlighted different parts of their anatomy. They breathe through modified gills that require a constant mix of water vapor and oxygen. Their suits are sophisticated but vulnerable. Damage the breathing apparatus and they have maybe 10 minutes. The Zephyrians? Telepathic species. They share thoughts and emotions across their entire population. It makes them incredibly peaceful and cooperative. Dr. Chen paused. But it also makes them vulnerable to mental interference. Human minds produce what they call chaos patterns, random thoughts and emotions that hurt them to experience. Elena studied the data, thinking. The Council species were advanced, but they had lived in peace for so long that they had forgotten how to really fight. Humans had never forgotten. Every human world had museums full of weapons from their violent past. Every human child learned about the wars that had shaped their species. Lieutenant Torres entered the briefing room. "Captain, we're receiving responses to your message." "Show me." The main display activated, showing incoming communications from across Council space. Most were official Council responses, angry and threatening, but some were different. This one is from a Meridian commercial vessel, Torres explained. They're asking what humans meant about remembering weaknesses. Another message appeared. This is from a Vorthak science station. They want to know if humans are planning some kind of retaliation. Elena smiled grimly. They're scared, good. Fear makes people make mistakes. Dr. Chen looked uncomfortable. Elena, these are species I've worked with for decades. Many of them are good people. They're just following orders from their leaders. And their leaders decided to commit genocide, Commander Okafor said flatly. How many council species voted for the culling order? 9 out of 12, Chen admitted. The Meridians, Vorthak, and Zephyrians led the vote. The others supported it. Elena felt anger burn in her chest, but she kept her voice calm. Then 9 species have declared war on humanity. The other 3 will have to choose sides. Captain, Torres said, we're also getting reports from the edge of human space. The council fleets have arrived. They're jamming all communications, but some emergency signals are getting through. What kind of signals? Mostly automated distress beacons. But there's something strange. The human colonies aren't fighting back. They're just disappearing, Elena frowned. Disappearing how? The council fleets arrived to find empty settlements. No bodies, no signs of struggle. Just empty buildings and abandoned equipment. It's happening on 7 different worlds. Commander Okafor looked up from her tactical analysis. That's smart. Don't give them a target to destroy. Make them search for you. Dr. Chen was reviewing the latest intelligence reports. The council is confused. They expected either surrender or a glorious last stand. They weren't prepared for humans to simply vanish. How long until they reach Earth? Elena asked. 3 days, maybe 4, Torres replied. But Captain, Earth Command isn't responding to any signals. We don't know if they got the warning. Elena made a decision. Then we make sure everyone knows. Torres, I want you to hack into every council communication network you can reach. Use all the diplomatic codes we've learned over 50 years. Send our warning to every species, every world, every ship. What exactly should I tell them? Elena walked to the viewport looking out at the stars. Somewhere among those points of light were human families, human children who would never grow up if the council succeeded. But also somewhere out there were billions of aliens who had been told that humans were dangerous, that they needed to be destroyed for the good of the galaxy. Tell them the truth, she said. Humans are not the innocent junior members they thought we were. We are the descendants of persistence hunters who chased mammoths across continents. We are the children of warriors who fought with sticks and stones before we learned to split atoms. We have studied every species in the council for 50 years. We know their languages, their customs, their technologies, and their fears. She turned back to face her crew. Tell them that humans tried to be peaceful. We wanted to join the galactic community as friends. But since they have chosen to be our enemies, we will show them what humans do to their enemies. Dr. Chen looked worried. Elena, you're talking about threatening 11 different species. Each one of them has more ships, more technology, more resources than all of humanity combined. Yes, Elena agreed. But they don't have something humans have always had. What's that? Nothing left to lose. Torres worked at his station, sending messages across the galaxy. Within hours, Elena's words would reach every council world. Some would dismiss the warnings as desperate threats from a dying species. Others would remember the stories about human history and wonder if they had made a terrible mistake. Commander Okafor was studying tactical displays. Captain, if we're really going to fight the entire council, we need allies. The 3 species that voted against the culling order might help us. What about them? Dr. Chen brought up files on the remaining species. The Kythera are insect-like creatures. Very practical, very survival-oriented. They voted against culling because they thought it was wasteful. The hegemony are machine intelligences. They voted against it because their logic matrices couldn't find sufficient justification. And the Wanderers. No one really understands the Wanderers. They're nomads, traders, explorers. They might help us just because they like underdogs. Elena nodded. Send messages to all 3. Tell them humanity remembers its friends as well as its enemies. The bridge fell quiet as they worked. Elena felt the weight of her species' survival resting on her shoulders. The Harmony was just one small ship, carrying 12 people who were now humanity's best hope for survival. But Elena had read human history. She knew that sometimes small groups of determined people could change the world. The council expected humans to fight like the other species they knew, with honor, with rules, with limited objectives. They were about to learn that humans didn't fight like anyone else in the galaxy. Humans fought like humans. Message sent, Captain, Torres reported. Every council world will have it within 6 hours. Good. Now we wait and see who's smart enough to listen. Elena looked out at the stars again. Soon, very soon, the galaxy would learn why apex predators made terrible pets. The revelation. Elena walked through the corridors of the Harmony, checking on her crew. It had been a week since they escaped the council trap, and the ship felt different now. What had once been a peaceful diplomatic vessel was becoming something else. A command center for a species at war. In the medical bay, Dr. Chen was working with the ship's computer, analyzing decades of research data. Elena found him hunched over a holographic display showing the evolutionary history of various council species. Tell me something useful. Marcus, she said. Dr. Chen looked up, his face tired but focused. I've been thinking about what makes humans different from every other species in the council. Do you know what we are, Elena? Humans. No, I mean biologically, evolutionarily. He brought up a chart showing different types of predators. Most council species evolved as prey animals. The Meridians were hunted by ocean predators for millions of years. The Vorthak grew their crystal shells to protect themselves from silicon-eating parasites. Even the stronger species like the hegemony started as small creatures hiding from larger threats. Elena studied the display. And humans? Humans are persistence hunters. We're the species that chase giant animals across continents until they collapsed from exhaustion. We didn't evolve to hide or to fight fair. We evolved to never give up. He switched to another display showing human history. Look at our wars, Elena. We don't just defeat our enemies, we hunt them down completely. We learn their weaknesses, we adapt our tactics, and we never stop until we win. Elena nodded slowly. She was beginning to understand something important. Dr. Chen continued. The council species fight according to rules. They have honor codes and surrender protocols. When they lose a battle, they accept defeat and negotiate. But humans don't know how to quit, Elena finished. Exactly. And there's something else. For 50 years, humans have been living among council species, studying them, learning everything about them. We thought we were being friendly, but we were actually doing what persistence hunters always do. We were learning our prey. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. Show me what we learned. Dr. Chen brought up detailed files on each council species. The Vorthak crystal matrices resonate at specific frequencies. Human mining equipment can generate those exact frequencies. We could shatter their bodies with sound waves. The Meridians, their breathing apparatus has 17 different failure points. Human engineers identified all of them during friendly technical exchanges. We also know that their homeworld's atmosphere contains trace chemicals that are toxic to most other species, chemicals that human terraforming equipment can produce. The Zephyrians. Dr. Chen's expression grew troubled. This is the worst one, Elena. Zephyrians share thoughts and emotions telepathically. Human minds produce what they call chaos patterns, random, violent, emotional thoughts that cause them pain. But we've learned that it's not just random. Human consciousness contains something that actively hurts telepathic species to experience. Elena stared at the data. You're telling me that humans are naturally toxic to telepaths? More than that. I've been reviewing the cultural exchange programs. Human music, human art, human literature. When Zephyrians experience human culture directly, it overwhelms their nervous systems. They can literally be driven insane by human creativity. Elena walked to the viewport looking out at the stars. My God, Marcus, we really are monsters to them, aren't we? No, Dr. Chen said firmly. We're just different. But Elena, there's more. I've been analyzing the communication patterns from human colonies. The ones that disappeared when council fleets arrived. What about them? They didn't just vanish randomly. Look at this. He brought up a star map showing human settlements. The colonies that disappeared first were all mining worlds. Places with extensive underground tunnel systems. The agricultural worlds went dark next. Worlds where humans had spent decades learning to live off the land with minimal technology. Elena began to see the pattern. They went to ground. More than that. They went to ground using skills and knowledge that no other council species has. Humans are the only species that evolved to live in caves, to hunt in forests, to survive in hostile environments without technology. Every other species builds cities and relies on complex support systems. Dr. Chen pulled up more data. The council fleets are finding empty buildings because humans don't need buildings to survive. They're finding abandoned equipment because humans can make weapons out of anything. They're trained to think like engineers, like soldiers, like survivors. Elena felt something cold and predatory wake up in her mind. What about our people on council worlds? Our diplomats, our scientists, our cultural exchange students? That's the beautiful part, Dr. Chen said with a grim smile. For 50 years, humans have been scattered across council space. Thousands of us on hundreds of worlds learning local languages, studying local customs, mapping local infrastructure. The council thinks they've trapped all the humans in designated areas, but they haven't. No. Human diplomats know where every council leader lives. Human engineers know how every council city gets its power and water. Human scientists know the locations of every critical research facility. And Elena, they all know how to blend in, how to hide, how to wait for the right moment to strike. Elena thought about Ambassador Williams, who had sent the warning message. He was probably dead now, but before he died, he had made sure humanity knew what was coming. How many other humans were out there, scattered across the galaxy, waiting for orders that might never come? There's something else, Dr. Chen said quietly. I've been analyzing council military doctrine. They don't understand guerrilla warfare. They don't understand terrorism. They don't understand fighting dirty. But humans do. Humans invented it. Elena, every human child learns about resistance movements, about underground fighters, about people who fought impossible odds and won through cunning and determination. It's part of our culture. Elena walked back to the display, studying the faces of council species. They looked alien and strange, but she could see something in their expressions now that she had missed before. Fear. Even in the old diplomatic photos, there was fear in their eyes when they looked at humans. They knew, she said softly. Deep down, they always knew what we were. Some of them did. The Meridian psychological profiles of humans are fascinating reading. They describe us as persistent predators with pack-hunting instincts and an abnormal tolerance for violence. The Vorthak classified us as a potential existential threat within 10 years of first contact. Then why did they let us join the council? Dr. Chen was quiet for a long moment. Because they thought they could control us. They thought 50 years of civilization would make us forget what we really are. They thought they could turn apex predators into pets. Elena understood now. The council had made the same mistake that countless other species had made throughout Earth's history. They had underestimated humans. They had seen the friendly diplomats and eager scientists and thought that was all there was to humanity. They were about to learn the truth. Marcus, I want you to compile everything. Every weakness, every vulnerability, every piece of intelligence we've gathered over 50 years. Then I want you to figure out how to get that information to every human in council space. Elena, if we do this, there's no going back. We'll be at war with most of the galaxy. Elena looked out at the stars one more time. Somewhere out there, council fleets were hunting human families. Council leaders were celebrating the coming genocide. They thought they had won. They started this war when they decided we were too dangerous to live, she said. Now they're going to find out just how right they were. The hunt begins. 2 weeks after the Council's betrayal, reports began filtering through the galaxy's communication networks. At first, they seemed like isolated incidents. A Vorthak supply convoy missed its scheduled arrival at a mining station. A Meridian diplomatic vessel lost contact with its home fleet. A Zephyrian research facility went silent during a routine check-in. Elena watched these reports from the bridge of the Harmony, now hidden in an asteroid field on the edge of Council space. Her small crew had become the unofficial command center for humanity's resistance, coordinating with scattered human cells across the galaxy through encrypted burst transmissions. Captain, Lieutenant Torres called from his communications station. We're getting another report from the Kepler sector. The Council garrison there is requesting immediate reinforcements. What happened to them? Torres read from his screen. Their supply depot exploded 3 days ago. No survivors, no witnesses. The explosion took out their food stores, their ammunition, and their fuel reserves. Without supplies, they can't maintain their occupation of the human colony. Commander Okafor looked up from her tactical display. That's the 7th supply depot this week. The Council is starting to see the pattern. Dr. Chen joined them from his science station. It's not just supply depots. I'm monitoring Council scientific networks. They're reporting equipment failures, computer viruses, and mysterious accidents across dozens of facilities. Elena studied the reports. The attacks were small, precise, and seemingly random, but she could see the larger pattern emerging. Humans weren't fighting the Council fleets directly. They were attacking the infrastructure that kept those fleets operational. "Show me the Meridian reports," she said. Torres brought up a file of communications from Meridian fleet commanders. They're having problems with their water recycling systems. Apparently, the bacterial filters that clean their drinking water have been contaminated with some kind of aggressive microorganism. "Terraforming bacteria," Dr. Chen said with satisfaction. "Humans developed those organisms to help make hostile worlds habitable, but they can just as easily make habitable worlds hostile." Elena smiled grimly. "What about the Vorthak?" "This one's interesting," Commander Okafor said. "Vorthak cities are reporting structural failures in their crystal matrices. Apparently, someone has been broadcasting specific harmonic frequencies that cause their buildings to develop stress fractures." "Mining equipment," Elena realized. "Humans use sonic resonators to break up ore deposits. The same frequencies that crack rocks can crack Vorthak crystal." Dr. Chen brought up another report, "And the Zephyrians are dealing with what they call mental pollution. Their telepathic networks are being disrupted by broadcasts of human music, poetry, and literature." Elena laughed despite the seriousness of their situation. "We're literally driving them crazy with our culture." "It gets better," Torres added. "Council fleets are reporting navigation problems. Their star charts are becoming corrupted. Their communication relays are going offline, and their automated systems are developing glitches." 50 years of cultural exchange," Helena said. 50 years of humans working alongside Council technicians, learning their systems, gaining their trust. Every human engineer who ever fixed a Council computer, every human diplomat who ever accessed a Council database, they all left little gifts behind. Commander Okafor was analyzing tactical data. The Council is trying to adapt. They're increasing security, changing communication codes, replacing compromised equipment, but they're always one step behind. "Because they don't understand what they're fighting," Dr. Chen observed. "They think this is a military campaign with clear objectives and defined battlefields. They don't realize they're being hunted." Elena walked to the viewport, looking out at the asteroid field where they hid. "Update me on the human colonies." Torres consulted his files. "Most of the populations have successfully gone to ground. The Council controls the major settlements, but the humans have vanished into caves, forests, and underground tunnel systems. Council forces are having to garrison empty cities while being constantly harassed by invisible enemies. Casualties? Surprisingly low on both sides. Humans are avoiding direct confrontation. They hit targets when the enemy isn't there, then disappear before reinforcements arrive. It's classic guerrilla warfare." Elena nodded. "That was good. Humans didn't want to massacre Council species any more than necessary. They just wanted to survive. But survival meant making the occupation of human worlds so costly and frustrating that the Council would eventually give up." "Captain," Dr. Chen said quietly, "I'm receiving reports from Earth." Elena turned quickly. Earth had been cut off for weeks, surrounded by 3 Council battle fleets. No one knew what was happening in humanity's home system. "What kind of reports?" "Automated signals from the orbital defense platforms. It looks like the Council fleets tried to land occupation forces on Earth's surface." Elena felt her heart skip. "Tried?" "The landing forces are withdrawing." Apparently, Earth's military was more prepared than the Council expected. The landing sites have been abandoned, and the Council fleets are maintaining a blockade from a much safer distance. Commander Okafor looked pleased. "Earth Command must have received our warning. They had time to prepare." "More than that," Dr. Chen continued, "I'm detecting human ships moving through the outer solar system. Small vessels, probably civilian craft modified for stealth operations. They're harassing the Council blockade from multiple directions." Elena felt a surge of pride. Earth hadn't fallen. Humanity's homeworld was fighting back and fighting smart. "Any word from the 3 Council species that voted against the culling?" she asked. Torres checked his communications. "The Kithera have officially declared neutrality. They're not helping either side, but they're also not enforcing the Council's edicts in their territory. Some human refugees are finding safe passage through Kithera space. The hegemony? Still analyzing the situation. You know how machine intelligences are. They're processing all available data before making a decision, but they haven't sent any forces to support the Council fleets." "And the Wanderers?" Torres smiled. "The Wanderers are being wanderers. Their trading ships are still moving freely through Council space, and they're not asking too many questions about what cargo they're carrying or who they're carrying it for. Elena understood. The Wanderers weren't officially helping humans, but they weren't stopping humans from using their extensive trade networks either. It was the kind of subtle assistance that gave humans mobility and intelligence throughout Council territory. "Captain," Commander Okafor said, "I'm seeing a pattern in the Council's military deployment. They're pulling forces back from the frontier worlds to protect their core systems. The harassment campaigns are working." Elena studied the tactical display. Red markers showed Council military units, while blue dots indicated human activity. The pattern was clear. Wherever Council forces concentrated, human resistance increased. The Council was being forced to commit more and more resources to holding territory that gave them no strategic advantage. They're learning that occupying human space is different from conquering it, Elena observed. Every day they stay, they lose more equipment, more supplies, more confidence. Dr. Chen brought up another report. "Elena, you should see this. It's a communication from the Vorthak High Council to their military commanders." The translated message appeared on the screen. Elena read it with growing satisfaction. Human resistance continues to exceed all projections. Enemy tactics are unlike any previously encountered. Recommend immediate revision of strategic objectives. Current operations are unsustainable without significant reinforcement. "They're scared," Elena said simply. "More than scared," Dr. Chen replied. "They're beginning to understand what they've unleashed. 50 years ago, they met humans and saw friendly explorers eager to join the galactic community. Now they're learning that those same humans studied every aspect of Council civilization, while appearing completely harmless." Elena thought about all the human scientists who had worked in Council laboratories, all the human engineers who had maintained Council equipment, all the human diplomats who had walked freely through Council government buildings. For 50 years, humans had been mapping their new allies' strengths and weaknesses. The Council had thought they were welcoming naive newcomers to the galaxy. Instead, they had invited apex predators to study their prey up close. "Send a message to all human cells," Elena ordered. "Tell them the hunt is working. Keep the pressure steady, but don't get overconfident. We're fighting the long war now." As Torres transmitted her orders across the galaxy, Elena looked out at the stars again. The Council had betrayed humanity, expecting a quick and easy genocide. Instead, they had awakened something that had slept for centuries: the human talent for war. The galaxy was about to learn why persistence hunters never gave up. The reckoning 6 months after the Council's betrayal, Elena stood on the bridge of a very different ship. The Harmony had been joined by 17 other human vessels, a mix of escaped diplomatic ships, converted cargo haulers, and stolen Council craft. What had started as one small crew fleeing genocide had become the command fleet for humanity's galaxy-wide resistance. "Status report," Elena said, looking around at the expanded bridge crew. Commander Okafor consulted her tactical displays. "Council forces are retreating from the Outer Rim territories. They've abandoned 43 human colonies in the past month alone. The occupation is collapsing." Lieutenant Torres, now promoted to communications chief, read from his reports. "Human cells are reporting successful operations on 8 different Council worlds. The Vorthak crystal cities are experiencing massive structural failures. Meridian water treatment facilities are shutting down across 12 systems, and the Zephyrian collective consciousness is fragmenting due to continued exposure to human cultural broadcasts." Dr. Chen joined them from his expanded science section. "Elena, we're receiving surrender offers." Elena raised an eyebrow. "From who?" 3 different Meridian colonial governors, 2 Vorthak industrial combines, and here's the interesting one: the entire Zephyrian Research Council. Elena studied the communications. The messages were formal, diplomatic, and desperate. Council species were beginning to realize that their war against humanity was unwinnable. What are they offering? Complete withdrawal from human space, reparations for destroyed colonies, and formal recognition of human sovereignty. The Zephyrians are also offering to share their advanced medical technology. Elena felt a cold satisfaction. "And what do they want in return?" "For humans to stop the resistance campaigns. They want us to call off our people." Commander Okafor looked up from her displays. "Captain, we're in a position to dictate terms. Council military effectiveness has dropped by 60%. Their supply lines are completely compromised. Some of their fleets are running out of food and fuel. Elena walked to the main viewport. Through the transparent aluminum, she could see the fleet of human ships spreading out around them. Each vessel carried refugees from the Council's attempted genocide, but also carried hardened resistance fighters who had learned to wage war against impossible odds. "What's the status of the 3 species that voted against culling?" she asked. Torres checked his communications. "The Kithera have formally allied with us. They're providing safe harbor for human refugees and limited military support. The hegemony has concluded that the Council's decision was logically flawed and has withdrawn from all joint operations. They're staying neutral but friendly. And the Wanderers?" Dr. Chen smiled. "The Wanderers have just done something unprecedented. They've settled down." Elena turned in surprise. "What?" "The Wanderer fleet has taken up permanent residence in the Kepler sector, right in the middle of former Council space. They're calling it the Free Trade Zone, and they're offering sanctuary to anyone, human or alien, who wants to live outside Council authority." Elena laughed. "They're thumbing their nose at the entire galactic order." "More than that," Commander Okafor added. "Intelligence reports suggest that several minor species are considering joining the Wanderers. The Council's credibility is shattered." Elena studied the tactical displays showing the current state of the galaxy. Red zones showed areas still under Council control, but they were shrinking every day. Blue zones marked human-controlled space, which had expanded far beyond pre-war boundaries. Green zones indicated neutral or allied territory. The map told the story clearly. What had started as an attempted genocide had become a revolution. "Elena," Dr. Chen said quietly, "there's something else. We're getting reports from Earth." Elena felt her heart skip. "What kind of reports?" "The blockade is broken. Human forces have driven off all 3 Council fleets. Earth is free." The bridge fell silent for a moment. Elena felt tears she didn't know she was holding back start to flow down her cheeks. Earth, humanity's birth world, the cradle of their species, was safe. "How?" she asked. "The same way we broke them everywhere else," Torres replied. "Persistence, cunning, and knowing your enemy better than they know themselves. Earth's defenders turned the blockade into a siege of the Council fleets instead of Earth itself." Commander Okafor brought up detailed reports. The Council fleets found themselves cut off from their supply lines, harassed by constant small-scale attacks, and unable to achieve any of their objectives. They finally withdrew to Council core space 3 days ago. Elena wiped her eyes and straightened her shoulders. It was time to make some decisions. "Open a channel to all Council leadership," she ordered. "All frequencies, all languages, highest priority." Torres worked at his station. "Channel open, Captain." Elena looked directly into the communication pickup. Around the galaxy, her words would appear on the screens of every Council leader, every military commander, every politician who had voted for human extinction. "To the leadership of the Galactic Council," she began, her voice steady and cold. 6 months ago, you decided that humanity was too dangerous to exist. You planned our genocide because you feared what we might become. You were right to be afraid." She paused, letting that sink in. "You have seen what humans do when you try to destroy us. We do not die quietly. We do not beg for mercy. We do not surrender. We hunt you through your own territory, using the knowledge you gave us freely during 50 years of friendship. We turn your technology against you. We exploit every weakness you forgot you had. We never, ever give up." Elena walked closer to the pickup. "But here is what you did not expect. We do not want to rule the galaxy. We do not want to enslave you or destroy your civilizations. We want what we have always wanted, to be left alone to live our lives in peace." She gestured to the displays around her. "Today I am offering the Council one final choice. You can continue this war and learn what happens when humans stop holding back, or you can accept our terms for peace." Elena outlined humanity's demands: complete withdrawal from all human space, reparations for the attempted genocide, formal recognition of human independence, and the establishment of a new galactic order based on mutual respect rather than Council dominance. "You have 72 hours to respond," she concluded. "Choose wisely. You will not get another chance." The communication ended. Elena looked around at her crew, humans who had gone from diplomats and scientists to warriors and leaders in the space of 6 months. "Do you think they'll accept?" Dr. Chen asked. Elena considered the question. "Some will. The smart ones who understand what we really are. The others," she shrugged, The others will learn. Commander Okafor was studying the tactical displays. Captain, if they refuse, what's our next move? Elena smiled grimly. Then we stop playing games. So far, we've been fighting with restraint, trying to minimize casualties, focusing on infrastructure and military targets. But if they want to continue this war, she let the implications hang in the air. Her crew understood. Humans had been holding back, trying to end the conflict with as little bloodshed as possible. But if the Council insisted on continuing the war, they would discover what humans were really capable of when they stopped caring about being civilized. Message coming in, Torres announced. It's from the Meridian High Council. Elena straightened. Put it through. The communication that appeared on screen was formal but humble. The Meridian High Council accepted all human terms and formally withdrew from the war. Within an hour, similar messages came from the Vorthak Crystal Assembly and the Zephyrian Collective. By the end of the day, 8 of the 12 Council species had formally surrendered. Elena looked out at the stars one more time. Humanity had entered the galaxy as eager junior partners, hoping to learn from more advanced civilizations. They were leaving that role as the most feared military force in known space. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again. Set course for Earth, Elena ordered. It's time to go home. As the human fleet turned toward humanity's birth world, Elena thought about the message she would send to all the scattered human communities across the galaxy. The war was over. They had won, but more importantly, they had survived. In trying to destroy humanity because they feared human potential, the Council had turned that potential into reality. They had awakened the sleeping dragon they should have left alone. The galaxy was about to become a very different place.